Watch the moment Emmanuel Macron is slapped by his wife Brigitte as the couple landed in Hanoi for trade negotiations.
This is the moment French President Emmanuel Macron is slapped by his wife Brigitte as the pair were reportedly bickering. Take a look. So this is the French plane landing in Vietnam. Look, have I missed that there? Let's have
Yeah,
a look.
I can't quite see.
There he is in the background. Oh. Oh.
Well, there was I mean, you can see if you're listening on the radio. Basically, it's Macron preparing to descend the jet steps, and as he's standing at the doorway, you see a hand reach out and appear to slap him in the face. Is it Brigitte's hand?
Must have been.
Well, she was standing there, and then Brigitte walks out, and to be fair, they're both smiling and waving as politicians do.
Matthew, that's deeply embarrassing for Macron, no?
Yeah, I'd be furious if that was me. I'd think there's a time and a place, arguing, bickering, if they want to do that aboard the plane. I think it's interesting that she's done it as the door's opening. So people can see.
What is she thinking?
Well, I mean, that's the point. She's not a stupid woman. She would have been very aware that door was opening, the cameras would be pointed on them. What do you think's going on here?
Well, I mean, I think it's fair to say that, look, again, Macron in France, I think Madame Brigitte is also finally had enough of Macron being president for so long. He's basically France's Trudeau. I mean, this is obviously very embarrassing for the French president.
What on earth is she thinking? Actually, I'm just digesting this in real time now. This is one of the most bizarre clips I think I've ever seen.
But you know
in my life.
Have you ever been in one of them situations? Because he's walking past her, it seems, from where that hand's come from. They've been bickering. And when someone gives a little snide remark as they go past, and she's obviously seen red and gone, "Oi, who do you think you're talking to?" He's obviously, well, for me, he's probably said something that's wound her up.
Well, and by the way, if my wife put a hand on my face, I wouldn't be with her. That'd be it. Well, there's no place for. I don't care if it's a woman or a man hitting me in the face. That's it.
I mean, joking aside, I mean, slapping your other half, be they male or female or whatever, is not a good thing to do, by the way. Just putting that out there because...
I think it's awful.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Wow, bizarre clip, intriguing as well. We'll discuss this more in the next hour or so. Matthew and Aman, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The slap comes at a difficult time for Macron. His country's debt is fast rising. The president is wildly unpopular at home, and his government has a minority in the National Assembly. A constant churn in governments means policy isn't getting done. Farmers have blocked the streets around Paris today, furious about red tape they say threatens their livelihood.
On a eu une succession de premiers ministres en France, donc une succession de gouvernements qui ont retardé les choses. Là, le projet de loi contre les entraves agricoles a été validé au Sénat, il arrive à l'Assemblée nationale. On se rend compte que certains députés, notamment écologistes et notamment la France Insoumise, ont multiplié les amendements en fait, pour aller essayer de détricoter un petit peu cette loi, sachant que pour nous elle est indispensable et en fait elle reprend toutes les promesses qui nous ont été faites. Donc on y compte, on y tient et on demande aux députés, à nos députés d'être sérieux et de la voter en l'état.
Donc si jamais on arrive à lever ces contraintes-là, ça peut permettre aussi aux agriculteurs qui sont des petits chefs d'entreprise d'entreprendre sur leur exploitation et d'être à peu près en armes égales avec nos collègues européens. Pour l'instant, on ne vous parle pas de ce qui se passe à l'extérieur de l'Europe, c'est vraiment l'intérieur de l'Europe. Et donc il faut qu'on ait cette harmonisation européenne et que la France prenne conscience qu'il faut arrêter de surtransposer parce qu'en fait on est en train de détruire notre appareil de production comme on l'a fait sur la santé, comme on l'a fait sur l'industrie, on le fait pareil sur l'agriculture. Donc si les députés font le choix de ne pas lever les contraintes, ils accepteront qu'on apporte des produits qui ne respectent pas nos normes en France et ça sera ça leur choix.
Avec le flic.
Mr. Macron's trip to Vietnam, however, ended successfully, with Hanoi ordering 20 Airbus planes and signing defence and space pacts. This deal threatens to be dwarfed by the impact of the ongoing trade war between Donald Trump and the EU, The president is now threatening tariffs of 50% on all goods coming from the bloc into the United States.
Why is he doing this? What has he got against Brussels?
Well, keep in mind, this is Brussels. You have to separate out Brussels, as the UK would know, from necessarily the rest of the European countries, from the member countries. So where President Trump has had his greatest success are the bilateral trade agreements, US-UK, whether it be US, and we're probably going to see things in other countries in Asia and South Asia and the likes. But the EU is very much controlled by these bureaucrats, these technocrats in Brussels. They're very much putting up a resistance fight. They do not want to make any concessions to the Americans, particularly when it comes to agriculture imports, when it comes to auto imports, non-tariff trade barriers. They're digging in and fighting. I think the president is sending a very clear message that if they don't come to the table, if they don't play ball, there will be ramifications.
It is all a negotiation, though, Jason. When he does these things.
But we've seen, yes, it's a negotiation. And I would say, if you look at Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, his comments saying that this was essentially a wake-up call for the EU. But the president, as we've seen, has not been afraid to push forward on a number of these. So my recommendation to the EU is get smart here.
What Trump is doing now, and I think people can perhaps agree that what he wants to do is to help the American economy, but the decision that he's made and the action that he's taken is not just affecting America, it is having a major effect globally on the rest of the world. And I think the rest of the world should be able to ask legitimately, you are the president of the United States, do what you want for America, but don't muck up the finances of the rest of the world while you're doing it.
Well, 100% agree with you. As America is 26% of the annual GDP of the world, it deserves to be treated with a bit more respect. So these tariffs, some of them are not actual tariffs. Some of the countries that Trump is claiming are reciprocal tariffs don't have tariffs on the United States, but they have restrictions, like in the UK and the EU. We can't take beef because it's hormones. We can't take chicken because it's chlorinated. We can't leave that to the consumer, apparently. We have to restrict the US farmer. Canada, for instance, I think it's like a 270% tariff on dairy exports. So you're absolutely right. If the consumer with zero tariffs could just decide whether or not to buy American products, that would be fantastic. But America subsidizing the rest of the world, being 26%, being the largest export market for the entire world, if it gets treated with that mutual respect, it will drop these tariffs. There are going to be prioritizing of manufacturing in the United States, but this is a huge incentive for the world to stop disincentivizing their consumers from buying American exports. We aren't the ATM for the world any longer.
But the issue you've got with all of this, and say if his approval rating's gone up 4 points, well, he's got some backing there. However, if you're looking at reindustrialising, that's going to take time and pain will continue to then. Or perhaps you get deals with the rest of the world and the tariffs get dropped and things go back to normal. But in that interim, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt the American people. Will that support continue for Trump?
Well, I believe it will. There's a $1.2 trillion trade deficit that the United States has with the rest of the world. It basically spends $1.2 trillion more on other people's economies than it does on its own. It's got that headroom within its own economy. Even if we had to subsidize our own manufacturers in the interim, we could pick up that slack. Like I said, this could be easily rectified overnight by countries dropping their tariffs. China getting into its retaliation is probably very silly because we have a $300 billion trade deficit with China alone. So the idea, it's very difficult to hurt America. If you don't take its exports, it's very difficult to see what leverage places like the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom's a pretty special case, actually. It's almost like we've almost got a trade balance. So I do think Keir Starmer's in a fantastic position, and maybe this is one of the reasons why Jaguar Land Rover has paused exports, because I think there might be a deal in the offing, because you actually have, the UK has been quite respectful and has got a balance of trade. The EU, China, between them, $500 billion worth of trade deficit. Now, they've played hardball over the years about accepting US exports. If they drop that, if they just said, OK, it's open season, we will accept your exports and we'll let the consumer decide, I think you might have a completely different complexion on this in a week.
The French economy is also stagnating, with growth behind Britain's at just 0.1% in the first quarter of this year, which followed a contraction in the last 3 months of 2024. And now, adding to Mr. Macron's woes, appears to be a spat with his wife.